This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. A drone attack on an airfield in Russia's Kursk region set fire to an oil storage tank, the governor said on Tuesday, a day after Russia accused Ukraine of audacious drone attacks on two military airfields deep inside Russian territory. Roman Starovoit, the governor of the Kursk region bordering Ukraine, said on a Telegram messaging app there were no casualties from the attack and the fire was localized. Top Accolade News was not able to immediately verify the reports. Russia's defense ministry said earlier that Ukrainian drone attacked two air bases at Ryazan and Saratov in south-central Russia on Monday, killing 3 servicemen and wounding 4 and damaging 2 aircraft. Ukraine did not directly claim responsibility for any of the attacks. If it was behind them, Monday's strikes would be the deepest inside Russia since Moscow invaded Ukraine on February 24th. The New York Times, citing a senior Ukrainian official, said the drones involved in Monday's attacks were launched from Ukrainian territory and at least one of the strikes was made with the help of special forces close to the base. Israeli satellite imaging company ImageSat International shared images it said showed burn marks and objects near a Tu-22M aircraft at the Diaghilevo Air Base. Russia's defense ministry said Monday's attacks were acts of terrorism intended to disable long-range aircraft and the low-flying drones were shot down. The deaths were reported on the Ryazan base, 185 kilometers southeast of Moscow. Saratov is at least 600 kilometers from the nearest Ukrainian territory. Russian commentators said on social media that if Ukraine could strike that far inside Russia, it might also be capable of hitting Moscow. China has bid farewell to Jiang Zemin with sirens blaring out in tribute as people across the country observed 3 minutes of silence for the former president. A public memorial service for Jiang, who died last week at the age of 96, began at 10 a.m. local time on Tuesday in Beijing's Great Hall of the People, with President Xi Jinping and other top leaders attending. The event was broadcast live across the country. Jiang leaves a controversial legacy, having led China out of isolation after the army crushed student-led pro-democracy protests centered on Beijing's Tiananmen Square in 1989, while at the same time supporting economic reforms that led to a decade of explosive growth. A trained engineer and former head of China's largest city, Shanghai, Jiang was president for a decade until 2003 and led the ruling Communist Party for 13 years until 2002. After taking over from reformist leader Deng Xiaoping, he oversaw the return of Hong Kong from British rule in 1997 and Beijing's entry into the World Trade Organization in 2001. Speaking at Tuesday's somber memorial service, Xi paid tribute to Jiang for ensuring the Communist Party survival from political storms, saying the late leader had assumed leadership at a time when the party, military and country were at a serious moment of external pressure and internal difficulties. Indonesia's parliament approved a criminal code on Tuesday that bans sex outside marriage with a punishment of up to 1 year in jail, part of a raft of legal changes that critics say undermine civil liberties in the world's third largest democracy. The new code, which will apply to Indonesians and foreigners alike, will also prohibit cohabitation between unmarried couples. It was passed with support from all political parties and despite warnings from business groups that it could scare away tourists and harm investment. However, the code will not come into effect for 3 years to allow for implementing regulations to be drafted. Currently, Indonesia bans adultery but not premarital sex. The laws also include bans on black magic, insulting the president or state institutions, spreading views counter to state ideology, and staging protests without notification. Critics say the new laws can be used to police morality in the world's largest Muslim-majority nation, which has seen a rise in religious conservatism in recent years. Maulana Yusron, Deputy Chief of Indonesia's Tourism Industry Board, said the new bill was totally counterproductive at a time when the economy and tourism were starting to recover from the pandemic. Thousands of people have braved freezing temperatures in Mongolia's capital to protest against alleged corruption in the country's coal industry and soaring inflation, with some later attempting to storm Government House. Protesters, many of them young people, rallied in Ulaanbaatar's central Sukbrata Square in minus 21 degrees Celsius temperatures on Monday, demanding justice against corrupt officials and calling for the country's parliament to be dismissed. Protesters are frustrated with the country's ailing economy, with inflation soaring to 15.2% in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and closed borders affecting trade with neighboring China. People are suffering incredibly economically. Jane Silkova, country director for the aid group Caritas Czech Republic in Ulaanbaatar, told Top Accolade News. Whistleblower claims that a group of legislators with ties to the coal industry had stolen billions of dollars, which has further fueled the discontent. Elon Musk's Neuralink, a medical device company, is under federal investigation for potential animal welfare violations amid internal staff complaints that its animal testing is being rushed, causing needless suffering and death, according to documents reviewed by reporters and sources familiar with the investigation and company operations. Neuralink is developing a brain implant it hopes will help paralyzed people walk again and cure other neurological ailments. The federal probe, which has not been previously reported, was opened in recent months by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Inspector General at the request of a federal prosecutor, according to two sources with knowledge of the investigation. The probe, one of the sources said, focuses on violations of the Animal Welfare Act, which governs how researchers treat and test some animals. The investigation has come at a time of growing employee dissent about Neuralink's animal testing, including complaints that pressure from CEO Musk to accelerate development has resulted in botched experiments, according to Newsman's review of dozens of Neuralink documents and interviews with more than 20 current and former employees. Such failed tests have had to be repeated, increasing the number of animals being tested and killed, the employees say. The company documents include previously unreported messages, audio recordings, emails, presentations, and reports. Musk and other Neuralink executives did not respond to requests for comment. That is the size of Top Accolade Global News Updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Tuesday.